To run this fourth annual B.R. Ambedkar lecture series. Lecture series under the name of Ambedkar, happening every year and with the continuity and with the same affection and love, deserves a second round of applause. So whoever is part of it, let's give it up in the name of Ambedkar and as well as the people who are working to and for the movement. When we talk about nutrition level is so deficient. The Dalit kids, 40% of Dalit kids do not have enough nutrition. They don't celebrate their 6th birthday. Lack of access to health is primary reasons for Dalit infant mortality. Anemia is caused due to the lack of hemoglobin in blood. 60.5% of Dalit kids fall under the category of anemia patients, whose result goes into death. And when we are trying to understand the lifestyle of these people, we have to also focus on what is happening on the other side of the spectrum. What is happening to the people who are belonging to the Savarna caste or the twice born castes? How are they performing in this spectrum? Let's look at the richest Indians and the percentage of them in these categories. Only 5% of scheduled tribes fall into the category of richest Indians. Now you have to compare that 5% with the amount of the total general ratio. The policymakers in India are very funny sometimes. To make them feel good, they play around these variables. They have declared that 5% of Adivasis fall into the top richest category of all the Indians. And if you ask for evidence, it's a very scathing criticisms that you are given. They say you don't ask for the top 1%. But now you want to ask for the scheduled tribes, so asking who claim to be the 5% of richest Indians. What is happening, Gary? The legitimization of thuggery. You are using the marginalized names, their paltry contribution or representation into certain as a tokenized form of presence to parade this as a representative of an entire community. And therefore, it is here where the challenge comes, where in contemporary times, the Dalit or Adivasis are becoming the tokens at the hands of dominant Hindutva regime. They neutralize the oppression upon rest of the masses. Today, when we talk about the third variable, the education sector, this is more appalling. Dalit children, the parents are excited that their kid will go and one day become like Baba Sahab. Having Ambedkar as an inspiration is giving them no option but to send their children to primary school. And we all know, if you are working as a landless laborer, if your child is going to school, that one helping hand is not there with you, who could have made at least 10-15 rupees of the whole day's labor. Yet, Dalit parents are sacrificing that 10-15 rupees of whatever they have and sending their children to schools. 88% of scheduled caste enrollment is there in primary schools. 88. As they go to what we call higher or secondary medium, their percentage declines to 66%. And then when we go to the higher education, what we call colleges or diplomas, they are merely 11%. And how many of them pass out? Less than 5%. Less than 5% Dalit graduates this country is producing. And we all know what's happening there. 88 to less than 5%. Where are these kids? Where are these educated? Where are this Indian youth who should have been part into the project of nation building? The vicious casteist Brahminical regime is making sure that they don't access the same amount of education. So there is a denigration to their status. They are called down as inferiors. They are called down as meritless people. They are told repeatedly that you are here not because of your worth, not because of your interest, not because of your encouraging enthusiasm to learn something more. You are here merely because you were beneficiary of reservation. You have no worth in the society. Live as an equal citizen. A citizen is someone who participates in a democracy as an equal citizen. Here, an unequal citizenship is prioritized. An unequal citizenship of Dalits is held as a premium because Dalits are yet not full Indians for these casteist bigots. Dalits have to constantly prove their nationalism every second day. If I am protesting, I have to make sure I say repeatedly that India is my country. Because the tag of anti-national is slapped on my face since I am born. 41% of the Indian Dalits are lost in prison. It is no accident. And if you look at Muslims as well as Adivasis, it covers the whole spectrum. Being a Dalit is being a criminal in society. And to escape the criminality heaped upon you, you have to constantly dance and negotiate your status as fellow citizen. Of these 5% Dalit graduates, very few make it into the profession that they so desperately want. The system is not there to assimilate. The system exists there to exclude. And how do they do that? If you go to workplace, if you try to talk to your colleagues on equal plane, there are casteist taunts and remarks passed upon you. They don't acknowledge your presence as equal. They don't celebrate your festivals. They don't talk good about your ancestors. They don't praise Ambedkar. They always make sure you are the worthless shit that you have come from, and this recognition is given to you by every other blind signifiers that you are operating in as a colleague or otherwise in the society. And so what does a Dalit do? A Dalit has two options. Assimilate on their rules or die. The Dalit suicide rates is at an alarming rate. Because you cannot cope up the subordinate humiliating position. But the Dalits who chose the other option, where I will go and I will try to convince these people, or what I will do is I will make sure that my identity will never come in front of whatever I am saying. So a casteist bigot will always use his or her religion to parade his or her supremacy, where a Dalit, even if he is a fellow colleague, a fellow equal citizen of that society, of that campus or of that workplace, has to inherently adopt and aspire for his secondary position. If you claim your equal citizenship, the entire workplace gangs up against you. That's what happened in IIT Kanpur. A professor, Rohit Sardela, he was a graduate of IIT Kanpur himself, a PhD holder himself. Goes and gets into the workplace, gets a faculty position, but his casteist colleagues challenge him by saying that this guy, who is our colleague now, doesn't have merit. And how he has his thesis plagiarized. The same institution that granted him PhD 1 year ago, actually his colleagues now come back after him to say that your thesis is a plagiarized. Instead of engaging in that conversation as to how much this has happened, this goes to the board. That's how caste system operates. It doesn't end up on a lower level. The highest authority takes in. And they want to make sure that they investigate this cause. Professor Sardela is undergoing torments for more than a year. A young child, his wife, who is again intercaste marriage, is undergoing a lot of pressures. Now, a fellow faculty who has passed from the same institution is not willing to acknowledge his merit. How much of a vicious casteism can it exist where you are not trusting your own children? And that's why the Dalit blood is most feared blood.